All right, so let's try this again. I hope it's working now. We are hopefully live on all angles. Um, at any rate, welcome to Thought Thursday. This is the show that we bring to you on Thursdays. It's a part of Leveling Up the podcast, but this particular show we do on Thursdays, and it's all of 15 minutes. And we talk about a topic that you need some support around. And within 15 minutes, when you leave, you'll have 5 tools that you can use to get on the other side of that topic. So, we're continuing tonight with our spring cleaning. And tonight, we're talking about spring cleaning that is not about our house. It's not about getting things straight on the job. It's not about cleaning closets. It's not about cleaning the car. It's not about doing any of that stuff. It's about getting our body straight, our temples. The most important cleanup job that we can probably do, because how we clean up and what we do in this process controls so much of everything else in our lives. It's so important to be healthy, to do the things that make you healthy, to ensure that it is a lifestyle and not just a fad or not just something that you're doing because it sounds like something that you should do, but doing it because you really have to do it. And I want to talk to us, particularly those of us who kind of come from a history of having health that hasn't been optimal. Things maybe in the bloodline that have really kind of influenced you even coming up to this point. I want to make sure that you understand that just because something may be in your bloodline or just because something may have affected every generation up until now, that does not necessarily mean that it has to affect you. I think of myself, there was a time when I was carrying around so much more than what I really needed to carry around. And it's funny because you can often look like you are a clean bill of health, and down below, there are really things that aren't healthy and slowly but surely are pulling you into a place of deterioration, literally, literally, physically, mentally, and in everything that you do in life. I remember for a very long time, I was dealing with so many things with diabetes, cholesterol, hypertension, slip disc, a pinched nerve, interstitial cystitis, nerve ending problems. I had a number of different things going on as far as arthritis was concerned. And at one point, I was on far more medication than I ever wanted to be. And it got to a point where I truly felt as though if I didn't do something to turn things around, I may not necessarily have, number one, lived the life that I desired to live and live it fruitfully and a, in a season of gratitude and harvest. But always I felt as though I may be in a season where I was trying to heal, and we all may have things that we need to heal from. However, mine was pretty constant. There were health issues that I felt always needed healing. And just like the saying goes, it got to the point where I got sick and tired of being sick and tired. I got sick and tired of always being in pain and not figuring out what was triggering it. And I made the decision one day to turn things back. There's some things that you can't totally get rid of, but you can certainly maintain, you can certainly control, you can certainly pull yourself to the place where you can get along in the best possible way that you can. And yes, you can get healthy. It is never, ever too late to work on your body to be healthy. So that's what I want to encourage us to do tonight, to work on our bodies, not just to exist, but to live life to the fullest, to live life with memories that you recall very fondly and not always thinking back on situations and remembering how you felt during that time if you weren't feeling your best. Think back on things and be able to do things that you desire to do, that you can only do the best when you're in the best health. So, me deciding to do that really didn't happen by accident. It really, for me to take my health back, took some very conscious changes in my life. Things that I had to do that were different from how I had grown up, things that I had to do that were kind of different from family culture, different from what I had done, as simple as what I had eaten during lunch every day. I had to make a change and I had to get active. And it is by far one of the best decisions I have ever made. One of the best decisions I've ever made was to take my life back by getting healthier. Now, I say healthier because there's still some things that I can improve, but I'm very happy with how far I've come. And I want to encourage you to do the same. Make some changes in your life. How is it that you can begin to turn things around? How can you do a little spring cleaning? Well, one thing that you may want to do is to release what your body has really kind of quietly been fighting. Um, there are some things I noticed that caused me to feel worse than I did when I didn't have them. What do I mean by that? For example, things like sugar, things like processed food and late night eating or stress. You carry those things in your body. You carry them, they affect how you feel. Stress can make your joints hurt. Sugar creates inflammation, which can make your joints hurt. These are things that I had discovered slowly. I had to discover slowly, but they definitely came through loud and clear when I started to take away some of those things and realized, well, I don't do this anymore and I don't feel it in my joints anymore. And the biggest test is when you give it up, you stop feeling the ailments, and then you reintroduce those things, and the ailments come back, serving as proof that you definitely need to let them go. So release those things that after you take of them, you realize you don't feel so good because chances are it's your body saying you don't need them. Choose, for example, just to get started, one habit, okay? Not a bunch of them. This is something that I put in the newsletter this week. Don't try to do too much. I always say that. Master one before adding something else. Start giving up all the sugar that you put in your tea. Big one for me. I'm a Southern girl. I like sweet tea. Still do. Still struggle with it. I started drinking this because it's as close to sweet tea as I could get without the sugar. So then sometimes maybe you want to mix it. Sometimes you want to have this and reward yourself with a little more sugar. Do whatever is necessary to get jump started. All right. So I already talked about releasing what isn't profiting you. Well, also make sure that, like I just said, you start small. Don't try to give up everything because that's going to really, really lead you to falling backwards. Start with the small things. Don't let the pressure everybody else is putting around you or maybe putting around you to go bigger, to do more. Don't let them pressure you into that. Make sure that you're doing what you're comfortable with and what you know you're going to be able to move beyond and to keep up. Something else you want to do is nourish. Don't just feed yourself. Nourish. Don't just feed yourself. So, what do I mean by that? Cookies, cake, fried foods, you know, heavy sauces, all of these things that taste really good, right? But aren't necessarily nourishing. They may fill us, and some of them they put us on a high and drop us right back down. But what we need to do is focus more on those foods that are going to give us the nutrients to heal, the nutrients to get healthy, the nutrients and whatever else is needed to help us to release weight that we may be carrying or to release those illnesses and those things that are plaguing us so that we can be healthier. So, we talked about, eating properly. We're talking about releasing the things that aren't profiting you and starting small. Well, Start focusing on those things that are going to help you, that are going to energize you rather than tear you down. Eat more vegetables and fruit. Introduce water. Get creative with how you do your water. Put a little Splenda in it. If you like sodas, start drinking things like ice, which is a carbonated water. Not the healthiest for you, but you know what? It's certainly much better for you than sodas and some of the sugary drinks. So start there when you really, really have a craving for something fizzy and fruity. All right? What else can you do? Well, you can clean up your internal environment. We've been kind of talking about that already, right? But clean up your internal environment. Your body responds to more than food. All right, it responds to stress. Mine really responds to stress. Thoughts, emotional weight, all things that can absolutely take me under if I allow them to. So, what do? You avoid them. You put things in place so that you can stay away from those things that are going to tear you down as much as you possibly can. You can't heal physically while constantly living in stress or overwhelm or negativity. And if you have those things in your life, then maybe you need to re examine how important are they really to you? What can you do to release them? What can you do to relieve them? And what can you just let go altogether because it's not profiting you in any way? So take a few minutes to just daily kind of sit quiet, pray, reflect, breathe. Give your body a moment to reset and to think, what am I allowing to plague me that is really putting me in a position where I am weighted down, where I'm not healthy, where I'm not in my best body, and that is affecting everything else about me. All right. What else? Commit to progress, not perfection. Progress, not perfection. We talk about that all the time, right? I always talk about the importance of realizing it's not going to be perfect. I bring it up all the time because we have a tendency to want things to be just right, and they're not going to be just right all the time. Now, things may work out just as you want them frequently, but it's those who pursue perfection to the ninth degree at all times and everything that will ultimately end up disappointed, that will ultimately end up spiraling into a pattern where success is not possible. It's not about doing everything right. It's about starting and getting the small things right and building up to something that is going to be a change, that is going to be effective. Um, Again, we know perfection, it puts us in a place of being stuck, right? Because it's a vicious cycle. We don't hit that perfection mark, we don't hit that bell, so we keep going around and around and around until we get there. Your body is going to respond to what you do consistently. It's funny because after I introduced exercise and diet, or a change of diet into my life, there was a period of time for, I would say, about 3 or 4 weeks in there, whether it was travel or what have you, I had totally fallen off of what it was that I should be doing. There was no exercise, I was not eating properly. But what was amazing is that my body had already gotten conditioned to the point where it held on to what I had built. Now, if I had continued in that pattern for, say, another week, maybe even another day, who knows what may have happened? I had to jump back on the wagon. But what I want you to understand is your body is going to respond when you are being consistent in trying to be healthy. All of my numbers changed as far as diabetes was concerned. My joints eased up. Arthritis is still very much so present, and some of the other things are present too. But as long as I maintain and try to remain healthy, then those conditions are maintained as well. So, bottom line, spring cleaning involves more than cleaning your house, than cleaning up the job, than making sure the kids' closets look better, to making sure that you're moving around that stuff and cleaning the patio and getting ready for, the sunnier days. What's more important than any of that is making sure that you have cleaned your temple, that you are putting it in a position where it can be used properly, not just by you, but used properly in all that you do, and so that you will be successful. You will be far more successful when you're operating in a healthy place rather than in one that is not healthy. And that means physically and emotionally. There may be some emotional things that you need to improve as far as health goes. Work on those as well. Spring is the best time to turn over a new leaf, to pursue greener pastures, so to speak, to make sure that you're healthy and that you're in a good place. Don't feel as though you're ever at a point where your body can't heal, because it can. Start to do the things to make it better. All right. And that's it for Thought for Thursday for tonight. But before I let you go, I do want you to know that we have a very special curated event coming up on June 6th. And it's Journey Shares, Anchored Women, Unshaken Voices. And this is, again, I say curated because it's for a small group of women. I started the Journey Shares many years ago in someone's house, actually in my house, where I brought women together and we shared journeys. We strengthened one another. We told one another how it was to get past the hard points. We gave real life examples of real life situations, of real life turmoil, and showed how it was that we were able to triumph in the situation. It is amazing how we were able to help one another. My goal was to go from house to house and state to state, and we started that. We grew bigger. I had a conference where we did a Journey Share conference, and I haven't done it in a while. However, now is the time. Anchored women, unshaken voices, sharing the journey. Now more than ever, we need to be anchored. I want you to be a part of this experience, and I'm getting the ball rolling as we speak. So the first thing I want to do is I'm putting out a call for speakers. I'll make sure to have the information in this. We have just a few more slots because I've already started to pull people in. We have a few more spots for people who have stories that they can share that are going to make a real difference in the lives of the people that they share it with. And then we have a larger number of openings for an anthology. Yes, we all have something that we can share that you never know may be the triumph, may be the tool that somebody else needs to get to the other side. We all need to support one another more so now than ever. And there's a call for that as well. So if you're interested, I'll have information for that also. Again, June 6th. When I put out the call for tickets, make sure that you listen in because, again, it's a small group. We're having in a very intimate spot in Maryland, a very open spot to be able to share, to be able to rest, to be able to rejuvenate, to be able to do some grounding things, to include some things with our hands and have people pour into us. And of course, everything involves a meal, right? So make sure that you listen out for that. Right now, call for speakers, call for those who want to be in the anthology, get in touch with us. And until we meet next time, make sure you're doing everything you can possibly do to be healthy, to be in the best health that you possibly can be. Remember that you are unique. You make impact just as you are. You don't have to be any different. You are more than enough. Know that your thumbprint is unique. And that unique print, we need to touch things more and more to make them better, not just for ourselves, but for others. All right. So have a great day, evening, whenever you're listening to this, and make sure that you do your absolutely everything that you can to be well.
15 minutes, let the change begin. Busy life, big dreams, so much noise in your ears. We cut straight through, make the next step clear. Thought for Thursday